Welcome to the Smart Factory.
Well, welcome and good morning to the last day of this very exciting week about the Smart Factory, Industry 4.0. Fantastic week. Jacques, you're already there. We're waiting for Yves. Thank you so much, both of you, for fantastic effort in writing, in presentation, in planning of the program. I mean, it's always bad to spend too much time appreciating your own work, but I think you did a good job, right? And the amazing thing about this event is basically that when I look at the week, I think that it's been executed pretty much to plan. I'm sorry that I don't understand French, but it seems that the breakout sessions you have had during the week has been simply amazing with the level of quality and content. Can you, before we go to the session of today, can you give a brief overview of what the content was about? For example, yesterday you said it was totally fantastic. What was it about yesterday?
Yes, and it's the subject of our session regarding business model. Frédéric Fabi, CEO of Dupré Print, labeled Vitrine Industrie du Futur, explain us what impact this new technology has on his business model, and also he explain us what it is really important. First of all, his advice is to understand the customers, and after to have a real understanding of this new requirement of the customers, they implement the solutions. So as soon as the replay will be ready, we'll be delighted to push these conversions and presentations that will illustrate very well our current session today about the impact on business model.
Yeah. The funny thing, not understanding what you see, but I had the sessions in the corner so I could follow things. What I liked about the sessions I saw from the breakout sessions in French was that it was, you know, it was very, very well prepared PowerPoint presentations with details and slides, and you can see that words you understand was also, it was from technical perspective also quite interesting. So I think that the invites that you have got on board for the breakout sessions been quite good. Just in a moment when we're doing the presentation, we will talk a little bit about what we have experienced during the week, but let's start the slide. But I just want to thank you again both. This is the first time that INKISH France, INKISH Benelux, and INKISH working an event like this. I can't help think about how much valuable content we have made this week, and I really hope also when we get the replays edited that we can spread them out to the world. This is so valuable information that I can't even think of. So thank you very much, guys.
It was great to be on board.
Thank you very much, Martin, and thank you very much for all the speakers during these INKISH programs, that we learned a lot thanks to their point of view and their solutions.
Fantastic. Let's get started with it. So we have a presentation. The title of this this session here is, or the content is about influence the business models, and Yves and Jacques has, as usual, prepared a fantastic show. So I'm the French clown here, just presenting the headlines of the week and welcoming everybody. So let's just dig directly into it. First of all, I think it's really important to understand that 4.0 is, or the Industry 4.0 smart print factory, is something that is in a, it will take place whether we like it or don't. So you can embrace it or you can fight it, but it will be there anyway. So let's look a little bit on some of the things. I've already introduced my wonderful colleagues. If anybody looks at this show and would like to have films, for example, in I just need to turn off a microphone on Yves because we can hear he's chewing his croissant. No, I'm just kidding. So basically, if you want to have any content from INKISH in your local language, it can be in Dutch, it can be French, or in English, German, Spanish, Portuguese, Swedish. We have the teams ready. Now we have just here, we present the three of us that have created this event. But the event is, of course, also depending on the entire team behind the scenes, and I'm sure that our friends and colleagues, they will also share a lot of this information and content during the next couple of weeks, because this is something that I believe is very important. So the content of the week, or the content of this one, is basically Industry 4.0 or the smart factory in a nutshell. So we will talk about that in a little bit. So what is maybe more important is what impacts. I mean, the Industry 4.0 and the smart factory will also lead to people thinking new strategies, because the opportunities you have in the market with these things will for sure make a difference. Because imagine, as I said in my session yesterday when we spoke about the digital mindset, that is that if you think about how much the internet, how much a mobile phone, how much digital file creation has changed in Industry 3.0, how can you think that robots, AI, augmented reality, and 5G and all the other things will not change your business in the future as well? So obviously 4.0 will also develop new strategies for how you operate your printing company. And when we talk about strategies, that is where we are, how we implement things, the business models, what we want to achieve. And this is basically what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, we have just talked a little bit about this. Before we dig into the content itself, I also want to point on that we will soon offer the replays of all the wonderful people that have participated here. Yves did this slide just this morning because we wanted to emphasize the people that have been part of this. It's from Kylene from South Africa that gave a presentation or conversation with me about that sometimes it is not as easy as it seems. Then we went to somebody who has already done it, Luke Peters from Peters Druckerei, who was converting from being an traditional offset printing company to a very smart factory producing books of high quality, and recently with support from different Cycon printers. As far as I remember, it was both Horizon and Mechanitechnica that is delivering the binding solutions, and Dataline delivering the MIS system. So really great. Continuing to Tim Webster, and he had like 3 visitors joining him. That was John Tolley, it was Simon Smogel, it was Ulrich Setzel, talking about how much software, and in this particular case, it was HP's SiteFlow software, how much it enables customers. For example, John Tolley, he mentioned that they process 92 million orders a year, and as he said, it was totally impossible without having a smart factory and a workflow that is really efficient. Then we spoke with the really nice guys from Japan, Taka and Ban from Horizon, talking about how the binding equipment is now connected as part of the IoT mantra. Steve Metcalf from Baldwin introduced an extremely nice tool called AMP, which will essentially connect all the devices and machines. And Henrik Christiansen talking about robots, how important it is to have robots as part of your flow and everything like that. Then we had Anthony and Jacob yesterday talking about the customer journey and the things that leads to the success of these one. And Anthony has a background from being a very successful printer, actually elected as one of the most efficient printers in the world, producing more on his Heidelberg machines that you could possibly expect. Why are somebody pushing my slides? Please not do that right now, guys. And then we had Diego Diaz was a pre-recorded sessions from Dallas yesterday. And we also had a very, very good presentation by Gert van Dam from CERN, talking about how MIS systems and this. So I think and hope that you understand that this group of people that we have invited for these sessions have worked hard on giving you a presentation and tying all the things together to make sure that everybody understand that we try to make a program. First, we talk about what is it, then we have the software part, then we have the hardware part, then we have the mindset of it, and today we conclude on the business side of this. So what is going on here? Seem that you have some technical problems maybe. Let me hear. Can everybody see this? Because I can just see that my monitor screen was doing something a little strange here. I will just stop the slideshow and redo it. I will not redo the entire introduction. I promise you guys. that would be a terrible thing. But as far as I can see from the monitor screen here, we only have the. I just want to.
I can see it fine now.
Okay, you can see it fine now. That's great. Okay, let's hope that things is going according to. We are just so happy that all these people have been part of this week's journey of introducing and giving you so much knowledge about how to connect the dots. So that is something that is really important. Then we have the last slide in my introduction here is that what Jacques will talk about in a second is the impacts of Industry 4.0 on the printing industry, and I think that he will go into little details about what this actually shows. But I think that my intention, just having this slide before I hand over to Jacques, is essentially that that all the presentations and all the screens you saw just before, and with all the people that we had on board, everything is hopefully tied together into what we are now going to talk about. So, Jacques, I was a little bit disconnected because I had to look at the technical side as well, but I think you should take over. You're way better than me anyway. So can you just take over, please?
Okay, please. Thanks, Morten. Thanks for the introduction.
You're welcome.
Yes, so as Morten explained, for all of us, it was an amazing week. Fantastic speakers, had a great time. So like Morten said, don't forget to watch the replays probably from beginning of next week. So you can, if you haven't already done, witness for yourself. So the topic here is the impacts of the Industry 4.0 on the strategies that printing businesses might occur. So the impacts that we all see or will see in the near future. So actually this slide we see on the left-hand side from print 1, 2.0, 3 to 4.0 on the right-hand side. And we see the different strategies. So the first strategy is cost leadership. And of course, that really played a role, let's say, in even in the 3.0 area, with big printing machines where we had mass production, a lot of offset or big rotative printing installations that, of course, we all know very well. But in that case, it was a lot of the strategy of mass production and with low costs due to the mass production cycle. Then it comes a bit to the second strategy, which is actually the strategy of differentiation as well in services as in products, of course, printed products. And they call it a bit of the new business models. Of course, with Print 4.0, Industry 4.0, we see on the right-hand side, we slide even more to a strategy of focusing, or real focus, and that orientates more to mass customization. We'll come there a bit later, back on this topic. But as you can see in these industrial strategies, we can take a good example. On the one hand, you have the classic offset printers with the offset technology, which is of course also part of the Industry 4.0 technology. And on the other hand, you see more like the digital enabled solutions and the digital technology, printing technology. As I said, the offset technology is also a big part of Industry 4.0, because it, of course, has a lot of cyber-physical systems in it, like all of the sensors that we talked about are in the modern printing presses of today, which enable it to be 4.0 smart, of course. So it's not only the digital solutions today that are the technologies that you will find in a smart factory. And yesterday we talked to Frédéric Fabi, and he told us, like, yes, of course, in my factory, if I need to do like 100,000 or 1 million folders or brochures, it's not going to be printed in digital equipment at this point in time, because it's still cheaper, of course, in offset. That said, taken into account that there is no mass personalization needed. So if there's not the mass customization, then of course the digital technologies play a significant part. So in the end, actually, it comes down to competitive advantage. How does a company get a competitive advantage in choosing a strategy? And these strategies are now being stressed by the Industry 4.0 technologies that come along. So in the next slide here, everyone recognizes, of course, the slides and actually the picture from Porter's, the economist Porter's model, and then, of course, what you always want to avoid in the classic model of Porter is you don't want to be stuck in the middle. So on the left-hand side, everyone knows it, the ROE, with differentiation, if you can really get a competitive advantage, or by differentiation, like in products or services, you have to be better than the other ones, a specialist, you execute things better, the others can't do what you can. So that's a differentiation part. Mostly that's with lower market share, of course, but with a higher return on investment, higher profits, because you're one of the only ones that can execute that product or service as being the best in class. So on the other hand, you have the cost leadership. Of course, that is when you're the best, the lowest, I wouldn't say always the lowest price, but the lowest cost you can achieve in production. So if you're on that side, of course, you have a big market share, a lot of orders, but mostly at a low price. But by the number, of course, you get also a good profit and margin. So you don't, in these standard ideas of Porter, you didn't want to be stuck in the middle. But now this is changing. So as we said, the strategies are changing due to mass customization. And nowadays it's even so that you can have the best of both worlds. And if you can see now in the middle, we talk now about mass customization. So, and in the smart factories of today that are preparing, or even some of them are already there and expanding this, so they can combine both, which is a big difference with Industry 4 to Industry 3.0, where you actually had to choose one or the other, and now you actually can have both in the same model. something it's also important to say here. Of course, this can change because the customer in the end, he will need probably personalized, mass customized products. And in that case, of course, the shift will move over to mass customization instead of mass production. So the rat race, in my mind, will take place where the supplier side will be ready to deliver the smart printed products to the customers they're asking. And, the customer is always right. So the stuck in the middle is something that isn't a swamp anymore. And that's something to be embraced within the strategy with Industry 4.0. So the why and what some pioneers and early adopters are doing in the Industry 4.0 right now, we call them smart printers, and they're preparing actually for this type of strategy right now. And so for those maybe who have missed some of the sessions this week showcasing just this statement, I would recommend that you watch the replays that we'll have next week and to witness for yourself that maybe you get some inspiration how to future-proof your own business. That is, of course, if you find yourself in one of these segments or one of these markets. So maybe now, Yves, you can take it a bit on the business model side of things. So up to you.
Thank you very much, Jacques. It's true that with each industrial revolution, new economic models are developed and then collapse due to changes in the economic and technological environment, which exceeds the capacity of the player to adapt. At the same time, this evolution also leads to the emergence of new models that are more efficient, more flexible, and agile, and less consuming. But first of all, what is a business model? According to Osterwalder and Yves, a business model describes the principle by which an organization, an enterprise, a firm creates, delivers, and captures value. And to help us understand and then grasp the impact of Industry 4.0 on the business model of the printing company, that is to say, the impact on the value they will capture, create, and deliver to their customers, we will rely on their famous model, in particular for its simplicity and ease of implementation in the description and understanding of a business model, the strategic canvas of Osterwalder and Yves. They consider that a business models can be represented by 9 blocks that you see on this slide, which describes the economy of a company, the way it's planned to make money. The 9 blocks that compose, it's allowed to clarify first, the company value proposition, a description of its product and service offering. 2, the category, on the right, customer segment targeted by the company. 3, on the right, the channel through which the company chooses to contact its customers. 4, above, the customer relationship that the company decides to establish between itself and its various customer segments. 5, on your left, the company's key activities. 6, the key resource describes the skill required to achieve this business model. 7, the key partners, very important for Industry 4.0, representing the network of cooperative agreement with other firms needed to effectively deliver and market value. 8, the cost structures at the bottom, summarizing the monetary consequences of the means employing the business model. And finally, the revenue stream describing how the firm will make money. So we start now with the first 2 important blocks, value proposition and customer segment. The question is, what is the competitive value Print 4.0 will provide to his customers, and what is the customer value Print 4.0 will provide. Remember that Industry 4.0 itself does not represent any value. Reasons the solution approach of Industry 4.0 opens the door to new products, new product-related services, and improved production processes. With Industry 4.0, printing company will be able to provide their customer with, for example, a shorter time to market for the product, or a better responsiveness to their requests, customized product, as explained Jacques earlier, at cost close to mass production, thanks to mass customizations, for example, a more co-responsible approach through more efficient use of natural resources and energy, etc., etc. That is why it is important that the business leader clarifies value propositions really at the beginning, when you would like to start with Industry 4.0, and the industrial strategy previously outlined by Jacques, that he wishes to put forward according to the different markets that it's targeting: mass printing, print on demand, print by the unit, mass customization, and without forgetting the services. This value proposition is important because it will define how the printing company 4.0 will differentiate itself from its competitors to attract, retain, and deepen relationship with its target customers. Now, the other blocks regarding channel and customer relationships. What's really important in these slides, it's about channels. Through which channels will the customer segment want to be reached? Channel we're discovering, and as we discussed yesterday with Frédéric Fabi, that's a company in the graphic arts, graphic industry, must now adapt more and more to a platform economy. Web platform, whether web to print platform or other marketplace, have become one, if not the entry point for customer orders, whether for B2C or B2B market. And that the post-it really important to glue on your business model the importance of the platform. Now, the key activities in order to align your strategy, your value proposition with your industrial strategy, operational activity. The consequences of more personalization are an increasing complexity of the manufacturing process, and thus have an impact on the key activities of the smart printing houses of tomorrow. We know that the customer move up the value chain, encourages the printing company 4.0, but also the other player in the new chain to organize themselves to respond as quickly as possible to a demand for printing and personalized product. So the question is, what will be the new key activity? Which emerging after a technology will use? How about your people skills? What's important is printer need to move away from the whole static vision of their business and adopt and implement more dynamic, automated, interconnected, and autonomous process that we can summarize by the word printing 4.0, finishing 4.0, or packaging 4.0, and mainly what it is really important, it is about supply chain 4.0 thanks to technology like cyber physical system, cloud computing, robot, artificial intelligence put forward with Industry 4.0. Now regarding the key resources, the question of the key resources that will enable a smart printing company to implement print and finishing 4.0 process, and especially smart supply chain 4.0 is important and difficult. What strategically valuable capability must the printing industry acquire to respond to both the digital and industrial transformation of the environment, but above all, to gain a competitive advantage and hope to survive on its market? In other words, which are the key ones? That is to say, rare, valuable, non-substitutable, and difficult to imitate by your competitors, allowing your printing company to undertake this transformation. And in which technologies we then imperatively have to invest to meet the new needs of their market and differentiate themselves and reshape their value proposition in an increasingly connected world. But in order to be able to determine them, the printing company wishing to tackle the opportunity provided with Industry 4.0 and then of Industry 4.0, first of all, have to take into account new increasingly individual requirements, but volatile customer, globalization with its advantages, but also its shortcoming, increased competition, increased low prices, and good management of resources with low carbon footprint, and the significant impact of web platform that we discussed earlier, increasingly essential in the value chain and supply chain of printing company. This critical capability will thus either to be identified among the stock of capability and skill that you printing company have already accumulated over the years, and in new capability, very often linked to the change in the current technological landscape 4.0 that they will have to acquire to meet the new channel, such as cyber physical system, robot, cloud computing, but also mainly with new skill for your operators, that it is really important. Now, one very important blocks for Industry 4.0, it is who will be your strategic partner on Print 4.0 and what role do they play? As we say, printing companies are invited to perceive their suppliers and partners as an extension of a single value chain system, or more precisely, a value network, and themselves as an extension of a large ecosystem. They will use the capabilities and resources of their partner to significantly improve the footprint of their own core competencies and capability, and vice versa for their partner. The challenge for printing company is then to identify the best core competencies within their partner, whether other smart printing company, new partner with IT or data expertise, of course, equipment vendors, from vendor of Solution 4.0, and your challenge will be to identify their best core competencies, and in order to achieve innovation in product design, manufacturing, delivery, customer services, as well as cost management and value-added services. This company will thus have the opportunity to take advantage of the scale of their partners and just meet the need of the market, but above all, being able to easily rebuild their value chain and adapt to change, to market and technology changes, while developing digital intimacy with their suppliers and customers that help to maintain trust and foster innovation. Finally, a few words regarding cost structures. The main benefits and at first the questions that what will be the most important monetary consequences while operating under Industry 4.0, and regarding revenue stream, how will your company generate income from each customer segment? Regarding cost structure, the main benefit of Industry 4.0 includes the most important feature of Industry 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. And also incorporate a notion of how to make feature from previous industrial revolution more sustainable. It is true that the investment on web and technological and digital development to move forward printing company 4.0 are important. But it is also important to analyze its expenses in full cost to have a better analysis of the impact of Industry 4.0 on the business cost structures and try to have an idea of the savings that the Industry 4.0 will be able to procure to your company. According to some sources, Industry 4.0 factory could reduce production cost of 10 to 30%, logistics cost from 10 to 30%, and quality management cost from 10 to 20%. So at the end, you have an idea with all this posted of the point, the element important in order to have a good idea of your future business model. Industry 4.0 and mass customizations that go with it are the opportunity for you to redefine your organization, both strategically and operationally, in order to capitalize on the needs of your customers. Industry 4.0 provide an opportunity for you, business leader, and your associate to step back and rethink the way you do and will do your business. Company in the graphic industry and other manufacturing industry need to understand that their business models is likely to change over time. It is not static. Indeed, many academic authors clearly maintain that Industry 4.0 is essentially about new and innovative business model. We discussed a lot about the technology, but what I think is important at the end of our program is that to understand that Industry 4.0 is essentially about new and innovative business model, which encompass the new opportunities arising from the use of the new technology put forward by Industry 4.0, and that it is this new business model, your new business model, that will make this new technology successful. And this fourth revolution will prompt your company and other company in all industry sector, whether automotive, textile, graphic industry, to become more customer focused and lower their costs and lower your costs at the same time due to increasing competitive pressure. We can thus understand that the printing company of tomorrow, the future smart print shops or smart factory, will have to acquire capability, but also long-term skills for this purpose, be ready to abandon, to give up, if necessary, certain investment and knowledge that they have accumulated over the years, to forget, for example, centralized printing or manufacturing in a single production in order to achieve economic of scale in favor of mini plants, print and demand centers for printing company located close to your customers. So thank you very much. It's true that the subject is complex, but really important to introduce and to start the travel for your roadmap regarding Industry 4.0. Martin, I give you the hand in order to conclude our presentation.
It's difficult to, for all the sessions I think I have it the same way as when I participate in some of the live events you see when you participate as an audience, and I think it always gives me this, this is something I should know more about. This is something I want. This is something that you sometimes question yourself. Are you capable of doing these things? Because when you say these words, it looks so easy and so obvious, but I know it's not as easy and obvious. But I think the business model canvas is a good way of explaining all the things that the printing companies need to get involved with. And as you also said, I think that if you as an audience take the time to see and the presentations as replays in the weeks to come, all of them will be available next week. But if you take a look at these, you will get a broad perspective on how to do some of the things that you have been talking about. And I think it concludes the week wonderfully, Yves. So both of you, thank you again very much for very valuable content. And I know we have not so much time left, but is there anybody from the audience who have any questions, please? Or you want to say something, Jacques?
No, I think it's all has been said for a week. Well, not all.
For a week.
There's still a lot of things to tell, but no, let's conclude, because, as you said, time is nearly up.
Yes.
Yeah. More a question of personal interest, Yves. When you make a presentation like this, where do you get your knowledge for? How do you prepare yourself for something? Because this is quite deep. And is it also something that you work with when you do your consultancy in France, or how do you get along with this?
Yes, I'm consultant in France, and what is important for me in order to bring value information from our colleagues and printers is I try to be a bridge between the academic environment, academic universe, and the industry. It's really important, and as we discussed with Fabi yesterday, and in order to find solutions or tools in order to understand the new concept is to work with other universe and other industry, to work a lot with researchers, academic professionals, but also other industry, in order to evaluate what's happened in automotive market, in the textile market, and so on. My point of view, not to be closed only in our graphic industry, but as we advise to be a network with others universe, whether academic universe or other industry.
We got a question from Henrik Christiansen. He says here in the chat, highly interesting, and this is what the printing company should execute. And then the question, but are they able or will they allocate the resources for this transformation? Jacques, what do you think? You also talk to printing companies, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very good question. On the one hand, you have the theory, and that's why the business model canvas can be used or is used to get it from a theoretical side and to approach to get a picture like from where your company stands and where it has to go to or where it should go to if you want to become like a smart factory or maybe part of a smart factory. So, and then what Henrik says is absolutely right. So it always comes down to the resources. Do you have, on the one hand, do you have the money or do you want to spend the money? Because also yesterday in the contribution from Diego Diaz, that was these guys are preparing like big time to get like a mega factory, I would say. So on the other hand, those resources they'll be mega as well. So in that case, I think he was also raising, or there was money raised by different investors and so on. So for someone who has a printing shop or a printing company today, it might seem a bit frightened to see what is all happening. But I do think, and that's the point that Yves was making and all of our speakers were making, I refer as well back to Peters, Peters, that we spoke to. They already took that step for a big step, going from their offset environment into the digital one. But I repeat the thing that he said as well. You have to think not from the end product. You have to think from what you need in order to be like to get that competitive advantage that Yves was talking about. So, and it all depends if you want to be a total big company or if you're just focusing on one segment. But that there will be a lot of investments needed and some new strategies. That's clear.
Yeah, that also reminds me a little bit, because one of the points Diego also said yesterday was it starts with a business plan, and then instead of thinking about the technologies, you think about the processes. And I think that is also what you've been talking about here, Yves, is that sometimes I think that in the past, if we didn't have enough work, we got a printing machine with more capabilities because it was the only mean for mass customization at that time, or not mass customization, mass production, mass communication. And now we're in a situation where there's a lot of, I mean, the omnichannel is here. It's definitely not something that you talk about as something that will come. It's here. We know social media, we know film, we know print, we know television, we know radio. I mean, it's evident that we have all these things. So maybe that is one of the major changes for printing companies to really understand that instead of looking at the technology first, they need to look at what they want to achieve first, and therefore the processes. And I think that also underscores what your entire presentation. Henrik has a follow-up question here, and is that we also spoke about yesterday in the digital mindset. This is. I mean, I conclude, I don't know if you agree, but I concluded yesterday that the digital mindset is not something that you do, it's a consequence of the technology as well.
Yeah, I do agree. And what Henrik is referring here to as well, it's not only about the money, but what about the personnel that he refers to? Absolutely, it's a big issue. Of course, the more you get automation, of course you will need the staff to run it all. But on that specific topic, maybe Henrik, you can join in later on our lunch sessions, because it's exactly on that topic that we will be discussing, on how to form, or how actually personnel is going to be addressed, or what problems there will be.
I was actually about to mention that one, because the breakout session is in English today, even though it's in the Dutch room, but that people will not know. But the great thing about David Benoit's from Graphox presentation, you mentioned in the title, I think it was Employee 4.0, right? Yeah, so exactly. I think that it is the
good transition.
Right on. Actually, the question that Henrik is asking, that the people issue is something that needs to be taken very serious in this conversation, of course. Guys,